Yeah, let us start. Yes, so let's continue with the consignment. So, yeah, so yesterday this what I have shown to you, pro forma invoice. Now, my dear friends, let us continue with other aspects. Now, so in consignment means what are the things are there? This and all we have already covered. Consignment is just where one party sends the goods. Party involved in consignment is called as consignor. Consignor and consignee. Relationship between these two parties are called as agency relationship. Agency relationship. Since it is agency relationship, consignee will act for commission as a remuneration. Now, in transporting goods from consignor to consignee, a document involved what we call it as pro forma invoice contents. Also, we have discussed. So, goods can be that's a pro forma invoice can be sent at either invoice price or cost. It can be sent at cost or invoice price. Then a consignee, the document which is sent by consignee at a periodical interval, what we call it as account sales. The contents of account sales also we have discussed in detail. We have discussed in detail. Yeah. So now, so even though goods will be transferred to consignee, ownership will retain with whom? Ownership will be retained with consignor only. So consignor is owner of the goods. Consignor is the owner of the goods. Consignor is owner of the goods. Even though so if you want, my dear friends, even though the goods are transferred to consignee, it has to be transferred to, it is belongs to consignor only. Yeah. So now let's go. Uh, Friends, who asked that one question about one plant and machinery? They have sent plant and machinery 15,000, 3,000. Who asked that question? So that at least I will answer in real time. One student has asked that question. Yeah. Who is that? Can you raise your hand, my dear friend, so that at least I will answer. I will answer only for that student. Arbas, are you? Arbas, have you asked that question?
Hello. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is nothing. In that 15,000, what happened? On January 1st, 3,000 worth, there is a book value is 3,000. That asset was sold on 1st January. That is after 9 months.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Therefore, what they did out of 15,000, 3,000 worth of WDV, one part of asset, and remaining asset was continued for the rest of the year.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, that's why they have partitioned. On 12,000 full year depreciation they have charged, and on 3,000 they have charged up to 9 months depreciation because it has been sold or not.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, 9 month depreciation they have charged on 1st January, and they have computed what is the WDV, and it was sold for 2,000. The balance is loss.
Okay, sir.
Got it?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Now let's go with the other area. So now, my dear friends, let's go for the discussion. Special transactions in consignment. Next is special transaction. That is normally point wise is over. Now let's go to the different heading. Special transaction. Special transaction in consignment. Special transaction in consignment. consignment. So usually here, who is owner? Arbaz, who is owner? Who is owner? Arbaz.
Hello.
Yeah, who is owner of consignment goods?
Consigner, sir.
Consigner, correct? So therefore, since
Yes,
consigner
sir.
is the owner, usually all accounting entries, everything will be taken care only in the books of consigner. Only in the books of consignor. Consignee, in
Consign.
the books of consignee, only what accounting we do, suppose if we make a sale, only that sale is our goods. Therefore, that amount alone he has to pay to consignor. Only for that amount he will maintain the account. So not stock this and all. Only what cash he collected and what he paid to consignor, that alone will be his point of accounting. But in case of consignor, everything he has to record because it is our goods. So therefore, now here, first one. So first special transaction, what we call it as first special transaction. First special transaction is loss of stock. Loss of stock. Loss of stock. Number two. Second type of transaction. This is one. Second one. Second one is commission. Commission. Third type of transaction. Third type is valuation of closing. So valuation of closing consignment stock. Valuation of, or don't say valuation of closing, valuation of stock. Valuation of stock. Valuation of stock. Stock. Valuation of stock. So this, first is loss. Okay. First transaction is loss of stock. Second transaction is what? Second transaction is commission treatment or commission discussion. Third one, it is valuation of a stock. Third one, it is valuation of stock. These are the three special transactions what we have to understand in case of consignment before we go for journal entry. Once you know this, thereafter journal entry, this and all, normally what you do is normal, my dear friends. Normal. Yeah. So now let us start. First discussion is which is loss of stock. Number one, which is called as loss of stock. Loss of stock. Loss of stock. Now, in middle of your theory note page, write down loss of stock. Loss of stock. Now, loss of stock is of two types. Across your page, divide it into two parts. Across your page, divide it into two parts. Loss of stock. So first one is termed as, first one is normal loss. Second one is abnormal loss. First one is normal loss. Second one is abnormal loss. Okay. Now, first one is normal loss. Second one is abnormal loss. Yeah. Write down. Write down. write down. First one, normal loss, drop an arrow. First point, write down. Normal loss, first one, due to inherent character of goods. First one is due to inherent character of goods. Abnormal loss, drop an arrow. Abnormal loss, drop an arrow and write down. Abnormal loss, drop an arrow and write down. Hyphen, not due to inherent character of goods. Not due to inherent character of goods. First copy it, thereafter I will explain. Not due to inherent character of goods. Second point, normal loss is unavoidable. Normal loss, second point is unavoidable. Abnormal loss is avoidable. Avoidable. Next, normal loss. Yeah, so write down. Normal loss. Normal loss should spread over on good units. Normal loss should spread over on good unit. Normal loss should spread over on good unit. Corresponding abnormal loss not to spread over on good units. Not to spread over on good unit slash remaining stock. Slash remaining stock. Yeah. Next point. Normal loss will in a different ink reinflate re hyphen inflate inflate reinflate the different ink per unit cost price of goods. Reinflate per unit cost price of goods. Per unit cost price of goods. Next, corresponding point in abnormal loss. Write down. Abnormal loss will not inflate. Abnormal loss will not inflate. Abnormal loss will not inflate the per unit cost price of goods. Per unit cost price of goods will not inflate the per unit cost price of goods. Yeah. Per unit cost price of the goods. Here. Next, abnormal loss, don't write anything. In our normal loss, don't write anything. In abnormal loss, update one more point. Abnormal loss alone. This point in a different tick update. If normal loss exists, if normal loss exists in a problem, comma, then compute the within quotes, open quotes, revised inflated cost per unit. Revised inflated cost per unit. Inflated cost per unit. Revised inflated cost per unit. So that means this revised cost per unit is this one. Reinflate, already we have given the hint. So this would have been for your hint, just I am showing. So no need to draw and show that line. So just for your information, so if normal loss is there, because of normal loss, the price of per unit will increase. That is the case. That is the case we have said. If normal loss is there, that is the topmost priority. First, you have to calculate as per normal loss. You have to spread over on remaining units and compute what is revised cost per unit. That cost only you have to consider for whether it's abnormal loss valuation or closing stock valuation, whatever it might be. Hereinafter, cost means revised cost, not the original, because of normal loss, since it has been spread over on good unit, the cost will increase. So that revised cost only we have to take hereinafter for the purpose of computation. Yeah, right on. Revised, it will not, sorry, if normal loss exists in a problem, then compute the revised inflated cost per unit, revised inflated cost per unit, close the quotes, and close the quote, and in a sub different ink, and such price should be adopted, and such price should be adopted, such price should be adopted for valuation of abnormal loss. This is key information, my dear friends. This is key information. Yeah. So next, let us go to journal entry for both the case. Journal entry for both the case. Yeah. So now, before we go for journal entries, my dear friends, let us have the discussion of this part. Let us have the discussion of this part, so that I will, so that it will be easy for me to explain. Yeah. So now, normal loss and abnormal loss. Normal loss and abnormal loss. Let us have the discussion. Yeah. So now in your book, I hope okay, it's not possible, I think. One minute, my dear friends, 1 minute. Yeah. So now, let us see. These are the things what we have copied. Now, just here, let me show you, my dear friends. In case of next is just write down here also journal entry. So here also journal entry. That is the point. So now in abnormal loss, write down journal entry that is accounting. Journal entry that is accounting. So under that, in a different ink, write down no entry. In a different ink, write down no entry. No entry. Yeah. So why this and all, I will explain first. So thereafter, let us come for journal entry of abnormal loss, this and all. Thereafter, let us come, my dear friends. Now, for a time being, please listen. Now, normal loss means, my dear friends, this normal loss is due to normal market condition. Normal loss, what we call, it is due to inherent character of the goods. This is due to what? Inherent character of the goods. This is due to inherent character of the goods. But abnormal loss is not due to inherent character of the goods. That means that is because of our lack of safety or whatever it might be, because of because of the thing, so it has not been covered. Otherwise this would have been captured. Otherwise this would have been captured. So now, yeah. Now let us see what happened for normal loss. So normal loss means, my dear friends, it is due to inherent character. That means, just imagine if a perishable goods, if it is a perishable goods, that means imagine from Himachal Pradesh you have purchased the apples in a lump sum, wholesale. You have purchased the apples. Now from the Himachal Pradesh to Bangalore, it reaches. It will take almost some in a carriage. It will almost, it is a 7 to 8 days they will take usually, because it will come in Haryana wala truck, correct? Punjabi wala truck. So our Singh ji will be there. So now in that driving, what happened in travel a long distance in a highway. So in a lorry, if it is jumps in a hump, so what will happen inside carriage? Apple also will jump on one apple on another apple, correct? Or due to perishable nature, what will happen? Usually, suppose there if you purchase, for example, so apple, so you purchased 30 you purchased 1000 kg of apple at 1000 kgs of apple at 30 per unit. So therefore this costed you 30,000. This is what total cost, correct? Now, so what happened here? But usually, what is your observation? Usually, because of perishable content, by the time it reaches to from Himachal Pradesh to Bangalore, usually 50 kgs will be lost. That's a normal damage. Normal damage means usually it will be expected. It is normal. Every consignment it occurs. How much ever you pack it inside, because of perishable content or whatever it might be, 50 kgs will be damaged. So imagine here normal loss. Normal loss is equal to 50 kgs. 50 kgs or 5%, 5%. So 10% means it is out of 1000, 10% means 100 kg. So here 5% means 50 kg or 50%. Now this is what the content, my dear friends. So but here what I said, for normal loss there is no entry. Normal loss, no entry. Instead of, why no entry means, the normal loss will not be booked as a expenditure or loss. Instead, that what will happen, it will be recovered over good unit. Therefore it will reinflate per unit. It will be spread over on good unit. Therefore the price of per unit will be reinflated. Look out how it will be. That means normal loss, no entry. It has to be recovered. This normal loss, whatever cost is there, this has to be recovered on good unit. Good unit by revising the per unit cost price. Yeah, how it will be? Let us see. So total cost revised cost per unit is equal to total cost divided by good units. Therefore total cost is 30,000 divided by good units is 950 kg. Therefore what is cost per unit? Revised cost per unit. Revised cost per unit. Yeah. So any student, please be with me for conversation. So at least to give Aditya, at least to give the Aditya.
Sir.
Yeah. So give the solution. 30,000 divided by 950 kg.
0.001.
Like 30,000 divided by 950 kg.
Oh, sir. 31.578.
ಇವಾಗ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬಂತು? 31.578. I will make it as 58.
ಏನೋ ತಪ್ಪು ಹೊಡ್ದೆ ಸರ್.
ಹೊಡೆದಿರ್ತೀಯ, ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಹೊಡೆದ್ರೆ ತಾನೆ ಎಲ್ಲ. Yeah. So revised cost per unit is 30.58. That means look out, when compared to this 30 rupees what was original cost, because of this normal loss, what happened per unit? So per unit increased by 1.58 rupees was increased. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is what we call it as reinflate. Inflate means increase. Reinflate means increase. So that means hereinafter, because of normal loss, what happened? So instead of booking that loss means nothing but 50 units. What is the loss here? Total loss value, which is 50 units into 30, which amounts to 50 into 30, 1500.
1.5. Sir.
1500. 1500 is your actually loss, but this loss I haven't charged to P&L. Instead, that what I did, this loss loss was spread over on good unit. What is a good unit? 50, 950. Therefore it is 1.58 rounded off. 1500 divided by 950, how much it is?
1.58.
Rounded up to 1.58. That is what per unit was increased. So that means hereinafter all calculation is only for 950 units, and if you touch 950 units, your cost price is 31.58 revised. So this is ruled out. Old price is gone. Old price is gone. So because of normal loss, what happened? So per unit cost price will increase. So first priority, you have to revise your per unit cost price. Thereafter, hereinafter, out of 950, if you are going to calculate anything, whether it is a loss of stock, abnormal loss, closing stock, or whatever it might be, if you are going to stock, if you are touching, hereinafter you have to take revised cost price, which is 31.58, not the 30 old price. Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is what here I have shown you here. So if normal losses exist in a problem, then compute the revised inflated cost per unit. I have computed here revised cost per unit. Yeah, and such price should be adopted for the valuation of abnormal loss. So that means revised. So here, so example here, 31.58, you have to take not 30 per unit, not 30 per unit in example, and not 30 per unit in example. Yeah. So friends, are you understanding? Other students also, what you meant by reinflated price means? Reinflated price means others also. Are you understanding slowly? Yeah. So very good, Sneha. So now if you understand, so that's why, since instead of booking as a loss in P&L, what I did, I haven't booked it as a loss. So hereinafter, what I did, that was spread over to good unit. Hereinafter, I will increase my cost. On that, I will add the profit or whatever it might be, that I will do. So therefore, I will not book it as a profit. Instead, that I will reduce the margin. For example, look out. Example, other way around for other students' purpose. Look out, my difference here. 30 is my cost. 30 is my cost per unit. Correct? So now imagine. So 30 is your cost, and your sale price. Your sale price is equal to for example here 40 rupees. Sale price is equal to 40 rupees. So that means what is your profit? What's your profit? 10 rupees. Aditya,
sir, 10 rupees.
ಮಾತಾಡು, ಇನ್ನೇನಕ್ಕೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲೋ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಮಾತಾಡಿ.
ಸುಮ್ಮನೆನಾ? Yeah. So now imagine, if this is the trading account, just imagine purchases is 30 rupee per unit, sales is 40. Therefore, your GP is 10 rupee. Correct?
10 rupees.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now, because that means, look out, either because of normal loss, either you charge to P&L, there also profit only will reduce. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so instead of charging that treatment, in case of normal loss, what I do, I will increase my price. I will increase my per unit cost price. That means instead of 30 rupee, I will increase 31.58. 31.58 if I increase, automatically suppose if sale price, if 31.5, on that if you add the margin means there will not be loss for you. But your market price, if you 40 rupees, that is fixed. That is fixed. In that case, what will be your GP? What will be your GP? GP will be reduced by 1.58. Revised GP is
8.42.
8.42. It is as same as GP will come here in P&L. GP 8.42. 8.42. Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
Correct? It is as same as in P&L it is reduced, but approach is different. I will not pass the entry. Instead that I will not pass the entry to charge P&L. Instead that I will spread over to good unit and I will escalate. I will revise the per unit cost price. That is a treatment. Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now, in case of abnormal loss. Abnormal loss means, my dear friend, abnormal loss is not due to inherent character. Sir, what is due to inherent character? Inherent character means how much ever you take care of that goods, usually loss will occur here. For example, perishable goods or petrol, diesel, how much ever you pack, but it will evaporate or not?
It will
It
evaporate,
will
sir.
evaporate. So how much ever you pack, you can somehow you can mitigate, you can control, but even now you can't control 100%. There will be leakage. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's how. So that means that is due to inherent character that we will lose that value, we will lose that quantity or value, whatever it might be. So that is due to inherent character. Yeah. But it is electronic good. Suppose if it is there, if you would have packed properly, damage will not occur. If you have not packed properly, then automatically damage will occur in transit. Yeah, so
Yes,
this and
sir.
all is due to not taken care of proper due and care. So because of that, your laziness or cholesterol, if the goods are damaged, that is not due to inherent character of the goods. It is due to cholesterol of yours. So therefore, it is abnormal. So abnormal loss should not inflate on the per unit cost price and charged on customers. That because of your cholesterol, if the goods are damaged, you have to bear. You should not transfer to your customers. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, therefore, abnormal loss is not due to inherent character and it is avoidable. That is, if you would have packed properly, if you would have taken care, suppose if due to accident, goods are lost. So that means if you would have taken care, due care, accident would have been avoided, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that is not due to inherent character. It is due to our abnormal condition. Next one. So it should not be spread over on good unit, obviously, because it is due to your cholesterol. Therefore, you should not be spread over on. That is, you should not increase per unit cost price and to transfer on end customer. You should not do that. You have to bear. Therefore, you have to charge on your P&L. So abnormal loss will not inflate per unit because I will not spread over on good unit. It will be charged to P&L. Therefore, per unit cost will not increase or decrease because of normal loss. So only because of abnormal loss. If it is due to normal loss, then only per unit price will be revised. That revised price only hereinafter we have to take for the purpose of either abnormal loss or closing stock valuation, whatever it might be. Revised price we have to take. So this treatment I have explained well. So now, what is the entry for normal loss? Aditya, what is the entry for normal loss?
Sir, P&L account debit to loss of goods.
ಎತ್ತು ಮೊಖಕ್ಕೆ ಬೀಳತ್ತೆ.
For which, sir?
Normal loss,
For
no entry.
normal loss, no entry. For
No
normal loss,
entry.
no entry.
Why no entry?
Because we'll book it, we'll increase the per unit cost, sir.
Yeah, so instead of charging to P&L, so that is instead of charging booking as a loss, instead of that we will increase our per unit cost price. That means we will spread over on other remaining units. Therefore, per unit cost price will increase. Per unit cost price will increase. Are you understanding slowly?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Sneha.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes. So keep joining for conversation now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now you understood. So now let us go for. So this illustration have you understood now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Very good. Very good. So that is what I required. Now in case of abnormal loss, let's go for journal entry. In case of abnormal loss. in case of abnormal loss. So because of abnormal loss, we will not reinflate per unit cost prices. So therefore, we have to pass the entry and we have to charge off. So therefore, abnormal loss journal entry under that A, under that A, if goods are uninsured, if goods are uninsured, if goods are uninsured, if goods are uninsured, completely it's a loss. It is a loss or not?
It
Yes,
is a
sir.
loss, sir.
Therefore, completely it has to be charged off to P&L. And since it is a consignment stock, it is also a trading account. Since these goods are lost, I have to remove from my trading account or not?
Yes,
Even
sir.
in your piece, you would have come across in final accounts, if it's abnormal loss, complete that stock destruction due to fire, whatever it might be, it would have been deducted from the trading account, because in order to reduce the cost of purchase, in order to find the true
Yes.
profit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, same way here also. Since here, which is your trading or P&L account, which is consignment account, normally we will. So for a time being here, so pass the entry, then you will understand the things. So here, nominal account, which is consignment account, this and all I will explain later. But for a time being, pass the entry. Entry is since it is a completely uncovered uninsurance, this is complete loss. I have to charge to P&L in the books of consignor. Therefore, entry, it is general P&L account debit to consignment account. So always insurance company, whatever it might be, my dear friends, insurance company, whether it's abnormal or whatever it might be, will they give profit? Will they give profit?
No, sir.
No, correct? Always this, whatever this loss of stock is there, always it's a treatment for cost only. Cost only. Even abnormal loss, whatever is there, even if you would have sent at invoice price also, loading has to be eliminated, and only for cost only you have to pass the entry. Profit nobody will give. Yeah. Next, B. 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 So if goods are insured or partly insured. If it is fully insured means full insurance company will give, otherwise partly insured means partly will give, like that. Complete if it is uninsured, everything we will charge. Now entry, first is due entry number 1. Due entry, due means outstanding entry. Entry, insurance company account. So always don't think that they will take transit insurance only. If they would have taken transit insurance, then insurance company will give. Or suppose in a goods transport, suppose if the goods are damaged or because of a driver fault, something if it is over, and the driver said, okay, don't worry, I will give the compensation, then that is also will be treated as a part of insurance only. Got it? So in that case, instead of insurance company, you have to take it as a like transporter. That's all. Somehow, if it is insurance, if you could able to recover some amount from anyone, either insurance company or transporter, whomsoever, it is your recovery. That is the meaning. Insurance company. This is to the extent of covered. This is covered portion. Sneha, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So because if you look silent means I thought might be it is disconnected. Yeah.
There, sir.
Insurance company account debit. P&L, general P&L account debit. General P&L account debit. General P&L account debit. This is for uncovered portion. Uncovered portion. 2. Consignment account. Consignment account. This is for total. total cost. So since goods are lost means, my dear friend, at any cost from consignment, I have to remove that total value. But if it is covered, I will recover from insurance company. If it is not covered, I will charge to P&L. That's the meaning. So due entry. Next is entry number 2. Entry number 2, receipt entry. Receipt entry. So since this amount I is supposed to receive from the insurance company, entry is yes, Neha, can you try?
The cash account insurance proceed.
Very good. Cash or bank account debit to insurance company account. Insurance company account. This is only for which portion?
For the covered.
Receipt entry.
Very good, very good. Covered portion. Covered portion. Covered portion. Yeah. So this is first type of special transaction, which is called as what? First type of special transaction, loss of stock. If it is loss of stock, how many types of loss of stock we have?
Normal
Two
loss
types.
and
Normal
abnormal.
loss and abnormal loss. So what is the entry for normal loss?
No entry.
No
Why?
Because we'll increase the per
Because
unit
instead of
cost
charging,
instead.
it as normal loss will not be recorded. It will be instead of recording, it will be spread over, or it will be recovered by increasing per unit cost. Correct? It will be spread over on good units.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Normal loss is due to inherent character and which is unavoidable. If it is abnormal loss, it is not due to inherent character and it is avoidable. If you would have taken a precaution, it would have been avoided. Correct? So now, if normal loss is there, so what is the impact? What is the impact on stock value per unit cost?
Per unit cost will increase, sir.
Increase. Why it will increase? Because
Because
the cost what we have spent on lost goods will be spread over on remaining goods. No.
yes, sir.
Therefore, per unit cost will increase. So hereinafter, whatever the remaining goods, if it is there, whatever the goods is there, in order to, if you touch stock, means you have to take the revised cost price, whether this is for abnormal loss valuation or closing stock valuation, whatever it might be. Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, very good. In case of abnormal loss, what is the journal entry?
Two situations will arise, sir. If
Correct.
goods are
When
insured,
goods are, if it is insured or uninsured. Correct? If it is insured,
Yes.
insured means first I have to pass a due entry for the amount.
yes, sir.
Yeah. So
Yes,
entry.
sir.
Entry, insurance company account debit for the covered portion. If not
Yes, sir.
uncovered
Profit
portion, general P&L account debit to consignment account.
Mm.
So what is consignment account and all? When we go for general entry, I will explain. As of now, imagine consignment account is like trading P&L account. This is for consignment business. For consignment business, trading and P&L account, what we call it as consignment account. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So next is receipt entry. Receipt entry.
Bank or cash account debit to insurance company.
Very good. Very good.
Company account.
So yes, if goods are not covered,
General P&L account debit to consignment.
that's all. Everything we have to charge to general P&L account. Yeah. So I hope others are understanding. Now, so this is first loss of stock is over. Now let's go to the second special transaction, which is commission. Second special transaction, which is called as commission. Yeah. Second special transaction, which is called as commission. Commission on consignment. Commission on consignment. So, what is the relationship between consignor and consignee?
Agency relationship.
Agency
Therefore,
relationship.
if you are acting for agency as an agent means you will act for commission or not. Your remuneration is commission
Yes,
only. Correct? So therefore, so what commissions are there, etc., etc. Let us have. So any other students will intend to join with conversation? Yeah, so please raise your hand so that let us have for another 5 minutes. So Preksha, yes, yes, Preksha,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So any other students? Preksha, Sneha already there. So Rayan, Rayan, Rayan D'Souza, Rayan D'Souza, can you hear me? Okay. Yes, Netra, Sneha,
Sir.
yes. Then let's go Ganga. Ganga, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so sufficient. Some few kids we have selected. Okay, now look out. So let us start. Commission on whose background is that sound? Whose background? Okay, let's start. Now write down here commission or types of commission. Types of commission. Types of commission across your page. Across your page, divide it into 3 parts. Across your page, divide it into 3 parts. Across your page, divide it into 3 parts. So first part, types of commission. What we give is ordinary commission. Ordinary commission. Second one is del credar commission. Third one is overriding commission. Third one is overriding commission. Third one is overriding commission. Overriding commission. Yeah. Now, whose background is that? Who is playing game? Yeah. So let us update this theory first. Let us update this theory. Then let us go for explanation. One on one. I will explain. Right now. Ordinary commission, drop an arrow. Ordinary commission, drop an arrow and write down. Ordinary commission. Ordinary commission. Write down. Ordinary commission. This is the commission payable on total sale. This is the commission payable on total sale affected by consignee. Affected by consignee in the course of consignment business. In the course of consignment business. In the course of consignment business. Sorry, in the course of consignment business. Within bracket, if the problem is silent, assume it as ordinary commission, close the bracket. Assume it as ordinary commission and close the bracket. Yeah. Now, let us have the discussion with this, then I will come back for del creditor commission. Yeah. So, since it is a agency relationship, my dear friend, consignee will work for commission or not? Sneha and who is there? Ganga.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, Aditya Vidya. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now,
Yes,
so
sir.
if it is a agent means usually you will work for commission. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that commission what I supposed to give, that is whether you do business or not, whatever sales you make on that, I have to give the commission to you. Correct? So that commission is what I call it as ordinary commission.
Yes.
Got it? So others also, I
Yes.
hope you are understanding. That is, in case of agent, whatever sales he made on that sales, what basic commission, first of all, remuneration I have to give. That remuneration I will give in the form of commission. Correct? So for that, what commission on total sale, basically what commission I will give to him, that commission is called as, that this is mandatory. Since he has sold the goods on that sale value, I suppose to give the commission. So that commission is called as ordinary commission. Yeah. Now, so again, let us come back to our normal discussion. What is the objective of business?
Wealth
Profit
maximization long term.
And wealth maximization.
Profit maximization in short term.
And so now profit maximization, let us keep it. So for consignor also, profit has to be increased, as well as consignee. Consignee also, profit has to be increased or not?
Yes, sir.
Correct? So now for consignee, when you will get more commission?
When
When
we
it
make
makes more sales.
When we make more sale. Now, if you do only because now again, who is the owner of the goods?
Consignor.
Consignor. Who is selling these goods?
Consignee.
Consignee.
Consignee. Very good. Suppose if look out, consignee is identifying the customer and he is selling. Correct? So suppose if their goods lost, will consignee will take the responsibility?
No, sir.
No, because we are the owner, he is just an agent. Whatever their profit loss, whatever comes, everything we have to bear. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
But
sir.
now, look out, it is my goods and I have sent it to you to sell on behalf. So I said, don't give credit, because suppose if there is a bad debt, suppose if you don't give the money, I will be in trouble, because I don't know that customer at all. You are identifying that customer and you are selling. Correct? If we don't give the money, that time alone you are showing your face with like that exposures that will be there, like bad debt, yes, I couldn't collect it. That time I can't scold you and I have to blindly accept. That means it's a loss to me or not?
Yes, sir.
Therefore, what I said, look out, don't give credit. So, whatever the only cash and carry, how much ever sales you make, on that I will give the commission. That commission is only ordinary commission. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct? But here, profit maximization is every business objective. That means I too required profit and you too required profit. So, for your profit means income here. Income. So, that is a commission is your income. Now, in order to increase your commission, what you have to do?
Increase sales.
Increase the sales.
Increase the
I said
sales.
only cash and carry. Correct? Now, in return, you are saying, look out, consignor, if I make only cash sale, sales cannot be increased. Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
because sales will not be make only cash and carry means majority of the sales we will not possible. It's not possible to make always only cash. If you allow me to make a credit sale, then only it will be benefit to you also. I can't make the more sale because for consignee angle, if you make more sale, more commission will come. In order to increase the sale, you are asking with consignor the permission for credit sale. Are you understanding the story?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. So in return, I said, look out, I can allow you to make credit sale, but if there is a bad debt, what to do? Yeah. What will be your answer? You are asking to increase the sales because you are asking voluntarily. Look out, if you allow credit sale, then only sales is sale. I can do more sale because in your mind, if sales is increased, automatically commission is increased. That's why you are working there. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but in my mind, risk is there. No, if I allow you to make a credit sale and suddenly if you say no, I couldn't recover, means I have to bear. No, this is my
Yes, sir.
problem. So you are asking to allow credit sale, but I am fighting for no. If I allow credit sale, suppose if that customer, you will give the goods because look out for the known party. Imagine you have given the for the known party and you voluntarily said, "Arey, don't pay the cashier. I will manage." Correct. When I asked, "Arey, where is this goods? What happened?" You said, "Sir, bad debt." This all happens or not? Yeah.
It happens,
So
sir.
yeah, because of your things or your benefit, I am losing my stock and I am losing my investment. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Correct. So therefore, when you asked to allow credit sale, I said, okay, I will allow you to make credit sale because I don't know who is that customer, this and all. Correct. I will allow you to make a credit sale provided you have to take the risk of bad debt. Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you are ready to take the risk of bad debt, then only I will allow you to make a credit sale. So as you requested, I will allow credit sale. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is what my stand. If you are ready to take risk of bad debt, then I will allow you to credit sale. This is what I said. So in return, now you showed other face. Okay, consignor, I will take the risk of bad debt. But since I am taking that risk of bad debt, what benefit you are giving to me in return? Your condition. I will take the risk of bad debt, but you have to give some more commission to me. Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So that commission, what we call it as del credar commission. Yeah, it is over and above your normal commission. If whatever the sales you make on total sales, one commission I will give ordinary. That is my responsibility. So that commission, what we call it as ordinary commission. Correct? Now, since in order to promote credit sales and to shoulder the risk of bad debt on consignee, I will allow some extra commission in order to promote my credit sales and to transfer risk of bad debt to consignee. I will give some commission. Correct? That commission, what we call it as del credar commission. Correct? Are you understanding slowly?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
Yes,
commission,
sir.
total commission means for consignor it is an expense here because I have to give to consignee. Correct? So for consignor it is an expense, for consignee it is an income. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So del credar commission, drop an arrow and write down. Del credar commission, drop an arrow and write down. Why del credar commission is given?
For credit sale made by the
Yeah,
consignee.
to promote credit sale.
Okay, to promote credit sale.
To promote credit sale and to
Credit
transfer
sale.
risk of bad debt on consignee. Get it?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Write down. Drop an arrow. Write down now. It is a commission given to. It is a commission given to promote credit sale. To promote credit sale and to take and to to instead of take, my difference, write it as a and to transfer to transfer risk of bad debt on consignee. On consignee. Full stop. Full stop. Full stop. Continue. This commission is to be calculated. This commission is to be calculated on credit sales. On credit sales affected by consignee. On credit sales affected by consignee. Credit sales affected by consignee. Yeah. So within bracket, under that within bracket different thing, only if specifically given in a problem. Only if specifically given in problem. Yeah. So, sir, what is this only specifically given in a problem? Later you will understand. As of now, not required. Yeah. So now, last one, overriding commission. Again, let us have the discussion. Then let us come for this explanation. Now, again, those who are online, so please join for conversation. Or if others willing to join also, please raise your hand. I will allow you to join. So, to what extent you will interact? So, Preksha. So, Preksha and Sneha. Sneha J. Can you hear me?
Sir.
Yeah, so stay online for conversation so that at least it will be interactive. Yes. Now, my dear friends, look out. What is overriding commission? Let us see. Now, look out. I sent the consignee. I sent the goods to consignee. Cost is 100 rupee. Cost is 100 rupees. And I said, look out, consignee, sell this at 120. Sell this at 120. That means what is my profit expectation? Yeah, what is my expectation? Cost is 100. So what is your sale price?
120.
Sale price is 120. So I said to sell at 120. Either I have invoiced at 120 or whatever it might be, but I said to sell at 120. Correct? So if we sell at 120, my profit is 20 rupees. Out of that, I will bear expense. This is all immaterial. First, from sale of goods, how much profit I expect?
20 rupees.
20 rupee. Correct? Now what? Because whatever the sales price is there, on that anyway I am giving commission. So this commission is either ordinary, whatever it might be. But for time being, whatever sales you make on that commission I will give. Yes or no? Immaterial of the value. Whatever sales is there on that commission I have to give. That's ordinary commission. That is inbuilt. Correct? Out of that, if we take a risk of bad debt and to promote credit sale, I will give additional commission which is called as
Del
del credit. That means out of this total sales itself, there may be cash sale and credit sale might be there. So on credit sale, I will give extra commission, which is del credit commission. Are you understanding? On total sale, one commission, and on credit sale, if it's specifically given, del credit commission will be calculated. This is extra commission what I give. Now imagine what consignee did. What's your name, Aditya?
sir.
Your name Aditya, correct?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, imagine. So now consignee. So I said to sell at 120, but you entered into shop. Surya idaನೇನೋ ಲೈನ್ ಸೂರ್ಯ ಇದಾನ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕೆ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಅವನಿಗೆ?
ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್,
ನೋಡಿಲ್ವಾ? ಓಕೆ. Yeah. So now Aditya. So imagine you went to the shop. You came to the shop. So consignee. So consignee are said to sell at 120. Yeah, but consignee knows that who you are. So therefore, what consignee said, directly said, instead of 120, he said, "Arey, 250 is the price." Got
Yes,
it?
sir.
250 he said,
Yes.
because in your face that brightness is there. Bakra.
Yes, sir.
Understanding?
Yes, sir.
ಯಾ ಎಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ ಯಾ ನೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಡುಗಿರೆಲ್ಲ ನಗ್ತಾವ್ರೆ, ಟೋಟಲ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋರೆಲ್ಲ ನಗ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಎಸ್ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ. ಯಾ ಸೊ now he said 250 is the price. Actually consignor said consignor's cost is 100 and he said to sell to consignee at 120. But what consignee did, by seeing the face of the customer, he said one price. Because only he knows that what is the cost and what is the invoice price. So outside customers anyway they don't know. Correct? So that's why what
Yes, sir.
consignee said, when you went to shop 250. So because he knows that you will bargain this and all, so therefore he said, no uncle, ನನ್ನ ಪಾಕೆಟ್ ಮನಿ ಬರೀ 200 150 180 only 150 180 170 and all, some bargaining. Correct? So finally what you did, you paid, he said 250, but finally you paid instead of 120 was his price expected, but you paid it is for 160. How much you paid?
160.
160 was the sale price. 160 was the sale price. That means, so cost is 100. That means what is the profit you made to the consignor?
60
60 rupees you made the profit. Anyway, on this 160 sales, you will get commission. In that, I'm not denying that. Whatever the sales is there, on that commission I will give. Correct? But here, instead of making that 160 extra sale, you could have sold at whatever the price I would have said, no?
Yes, sir.
Correct? So that's why, since look out, since you are taking this effort in order to make a sale, I'm not saying that, sir, is it fair to sell over and invoice price what you said this and all. I'm not denying, I'm into pure business. If I have the skill to sell, I will make the profit. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
That's it. So now I could able to sell at 160. So therefore, what is the profit made by consignor?
60 rupees.
60 rupees. That is where he thought 40. That's only 20 rupees is a profit. There, because of your skill, that is consignee skill, I could able to make extra profit of 40 rupee. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So now look out on that extra profit, since he make the extra sale, that is a 120 worth. What I said, he made it 160. So if he make a sale and on 160 and all normal commission, if I give and complete amount, if I take and packet it up, then next time if customer comes, will consignee will show the interest to make extra sale or over and above whatever the price I sell? Because even if you make a sale at more than whatever the price I said, you are not getting any benefit for that, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So therefore, will he take efforts to make extra sale over
No,
and
he
above what
won't
I
make
said?
any.
No. Correct? So therefore, what I said, look out, consignee, I said, I'm saying that it has to sell to 120. Suppose if you could able to sell more than 120, that is one price I will tell. It is not necessarily 120. Just for example, here I am saying, I said to sell at 120. If you could able to sell more than 120, on that extra price, here what is extra price?
Oh, we are 160, sir. 40 rupees more.
40 rupees is extra. What I said, over and 120. Correct? On that extra sales, what is the 40 rupees is there? Out of that, I will give commission to you. So that what happened? You will also benefited. I will also benefited because of your skill. You are making extra profit. Out of that, I will give you some commission here. Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
Correct? So that's why in order to promote that extra sale, if you give commission, then only he will also get the desire to make that extra. That's why whenever Bakras comes, he will make extra sale.
Yes.
Correct? If Sneha comes, he will say, no uncle, ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಇರೋದು ಬರೀ 100, ನೀವು 120 ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ನಾನು ತಗೊಳಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಆದಿತ್ಯ ಬಂದ್ರೆ 250. ಹೆಂಗೆ? ಅದು ಪವರ್. ತೇಜಸ್
ನಾನೇನಾ ಸರ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ ಬಕ್ರ?
ಇವತ್ತು ನೀನೇ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿರೋದು ಮಗ. ಯಾ ಬಿಸಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ರು ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿನೇ ಟಾರ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡ್ದೆ ತಾನೆ? ಇವಾಗ ಹೇಳೋ ಎಸ್ ಅಂತ.
ಡೌಟ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಸರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿ? Yes, sir.
ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇರ್ಲಿ. So that means, my dear friends, things apart, let's come to the topic. So that means overriding commission means, my dear friends, it is a additional, or it is a type of commission given to the consignee in order to make or in order to promote additional sale over and above a specified rate. It's not necessarily 120 and all. For example, here I am taken. Suppose if we say, look out, my cost is 100. So whatever extra sale over and above 100 rupee, whatever you sell on that extra sales, I will give some percentage of commission. Correct? So that is also a commission what type the consignor will give. So it is an expense. Total commission means it is ordinary plus del credit plus overheading put together. All three type of commission put together is a total commission. So this total commission is a expense for consignor and income for consignee. Whatever the type, commission is commission here. So but in commission we have three types. One is on total sale normally we will give, that is called as ordinary commission, that is mandatory. But in order to promote a credit sale and in order to transfer the risk of bad debt on consignee, so additional commission we will give, that is called del credit commission. Usually if the problem is specifically given, that I will calculate on credit sale. Yeah, so thereafter I will tell that. Yeah, overheading commission is to given only to promote extra sale over and above a specified price. Correct? So now, sir, why this and all? If you want, have you experienced how the customer service in case of SBI and ICICI?
Yes, sir. Calls will be coming. Like
Calls
that.
alla ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರು SBI what they say, yeah, ಹೋಗಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟೋಕನ್ ಬಟನ್ ಇದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡ್ ಬನ್ನಿ ಸರ್, ನಾನು 10 ಲಕ್ಷ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಇಮ್ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಸರ್, ಹೋಗಿ ಟೋಕನ್ ತಗೊಬನ್ನಿ ಸರ್. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ವೆದರ್ ದೇ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್, ಫಾರ್ ದಮ್ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಇಸ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್.
Yes, sir.
Correct? So therefore from the government, because of government departments, only if you give under table then only file will move. Otherwise ಎಷ್ಟು ಸತಿ ಆದ್ರೂ ಬನ್ನಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಐತೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮಿಂದ ನನಗೆ ಏನು ಬರಬೇಕು. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತೇನೋ?
Yes, sir.
ಯಾ, ಅದೇ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಅಂಡರ್ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ ಬನ್ನಿ ಸರ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಸರ್, ಇಲ್ಲ ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ?
ಲಂಚ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್. ಹ್ಞೂ ಸರ್.
ಲಂಚ ನಾನು ಕೊಡು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
ಹ್ಞೂ ಸರ್.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸರ್ ನೀವೇ ಕೊಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅಂತ ನನ್ನ ಮೇಲೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ಬಾರ್ದು. ಸೊ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಟೀಚರ್ ವಿ ವೋಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಮೋಟ್. ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
ಸ್ನೇಹ ನೋಡಿ ನಗ್ತಿರೋದು. ಎಸ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ICICI. ನೀನು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು, ನೀನು ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀಯ ಇನ್ ICICI. ಮೈ ಡಿಯರ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್, ವೆದರ್ ಯು ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ದ ಮನಿ ಆರ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೈಟ್ ಬಿ, ದ ಮೊಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಎಂಟರ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್, what we call two window operators or whatever it might be, two service agents will come. Correct? That too beautifully designed with makeup, this and all, usually female. Yes or no? Correct?
Yes, sir.
Sir, how may I help you? Because buy alla anta ashte, innenilla. Attraction. Yeah, so sir, how may I help you? First ಅವರೇ ಬಂದು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಆಮೇಲೆ first they will come voluntarily, they will come and ask. Yeah, so then if you say I want this service etc, I want this service etc, like this, suppose if you say this is the service what I required, then they will say sir, go for window operator number 1 or help desk number 1 2 etc, they will suggest. Yeah, so from your side when you go for there, they will say who has been suggested to you or who has been assigned to you, their name they will take, and your customer service whatever everything they will monitor, they will take care, because their salary is fixed based on performance allowance. Basic salary normally it is there, plus how quickly you will respond or how many customers you will handle or how many the clients you will handle, based on that only your salary will be fixed. That's a performance allowance extra. So therefore they will come voluntarily and they will take the responsibility of servicing to you, but in SBI it will not. Correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
same thing here also. For consignee, in order to make extra sale over and above a specified price, if you give some commission to promote that over, that's extra sale, such commission what we call it as overriding commission. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, drop an arrow and write down overriding commission, drop an arrow and write down. It is a commission given to promote. It's a commission given to promote different thing, additional sale within bracket extra sale within bracket extra sale over a particular price, within bracket cost or invoice price etc, cost or invoice price etc, cost or invoice price etc. Yeah. Next, write down. So after this chart, my dear friends, note number 1. Note 1. Note number 1. Write down. Unless otherwise specifies. Unless otherwise specifies. Unless otherwise specifies. All commission is to be payable on different ink total sales only. Total sales only. Second, point number 2. Point number 2. Total commission includes. Total commission includes all 3 types of commission. All 3 types of commission within brackets, suppose for your information, ordinary plus del credit plus overriding commission. Ordinary plus del credit plus overriding commission. Note number 3. Note number 3. Note number 3. Commission is an expense to consignor. Commission is an expense to consignor. And income to consignee. Income to consignee. Within bracket, for total commission, entry will be passed. For total commission, entry will be passed or recorded. Yeah. So that's it. So now after this, after the break, let's go to the special transaction number 3. After the break, let's go to the special transaction 3. Now it is 7:15. Assemble by 7:30. Let's start back.